Welcome to the NBA Carousel, brought to you by Sideline Sports in conjunction with Fantasy and Flavors. I'm Megan Price, your host and your Spurs representative. I'd like to start the show off with a little NBA news. Unfortunately, that means sending mine and the Carousel family's deepest condolences to the friends and family of Terrence Clark. He was a 6'7" guard out of Kentucky who had declared for the draft. Terrence passed away Thursday in a car accident. Also, on some good news, Boogie Cousins signed with the Clippers for the duration of the season. Jumping into the Spurs report, Spurs moved up one position in the rankings to 9th after a win against New Orleans on Saturday evening. It was a close game, 110-108. DeMar did DeMar things. He went for 32, 8, and 7, followed by Derek White, who had 22, 2, and 5. The big storyline for the Spurs, though, is the rest of our schedule. On top of having to make up for 5 missed games due to a COVID outbreak and being fined $25,000 last week for resting players, our last 11 games are some of the hardest in the league. This week we played the Wizards today, the Heat Wednesday, the Celtics Friday, and the Sixers Sunday. So we finished the week with 2 of the hardest teams in the East Coast. Then next week, we have a back-to-back with the Jazz, Monday and Wednesday, the Kings Friday, the Trailblazers on Saturday, and the Bucks on Monday. So we have 5 games next week. And then to finish out our schedule, we finish with the Nets and the Knicks. It's going to be, the Spurs have this monumental task of making it through the play-in tournament just so they can be in the playoffs. But let's move to a team in the East that has returning stars and some of the best dunks of the season. We have Will Vogel covering the Hornets. Hi, Will.
Hi, Megan. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm watching some early action. The Hornets are off tonight, so I'm watching the Suns against the Knicks, which is a very good game so far.
Interesting. How far along are they in that game?
There's a minute left in the first quarter. Knicks are up 9, but okay. I think it's going to come down to the wire.
Definitely. I mean, there's still a lot of basketball to play. All right, well, let's talk about your team. I know we have some big news. LaMelo's most likely going to be coming back this week, and Miles Bridges was doing Miles Bridges things last week. Dunks, tons of points, just really showing out.
Yes, I'm so excited to hear that LaMelo Ball is coming back. Right. I am going to the Hornets game on Saturday against the Pistons, so I'm hoping to see him play in person. That'd be awesome. Like you said, Bridges has been balling out. I don't know if it's people in general think he's just a dunker, but he can score other ways too. He has a pretty good jump shot as well. And he's just been balling out while LaMelo and Gordon have been absent.
Right. So I know last week they said that we would likely see LaMelo in probably 7 to 10 days. So I think that probably by Saturday he'll most likely be there. So yesterday you guys played the Celtics. How did that go?
It was just awesome. It was a great team win. Everything came together fluidly. We shot 50.5% from the field. We were 90.9% from the free throw line, which is, I think, 11 of 12. But still, and then, like you said, Bridges went off. He had 20. Washington, Cody Martin, Terry Rozier all had double-doubles. Devontae Graham had 24 points. And Brad Wanamaker had 12 points off the bench. So everyone was scoring. It was just – and I watched the whole game from start to finish. Mm-hmm. Great basketball, great team basketball. Would love to see the Hornets continue on this, continue to get everyone involved. Everyone gets touches.
Absolutely. looking like a pretty complete basketball team. Obviously, you want to see LaMelo come back. He's just almost a superstar already. I know he's a rookie, but everybody loves to watch him play. He has a great personality. Even on the bench, as he's been injured, his presence has been noticed there. So can't wait to see him back. You guys play the Bucks tomorrow, and then you play the Celtics again on Wednesday. I think that's going to be tough. The Celtics are in sixth right now, and so they're going to kind of come back with a vengeance, I think. So hopefully LaMelo will be back for that. Then the game that you're going to be going to is going to be the Pistons on Saturday, and then the Heat on Sunday. So tough week for you guys.
Yes, very tough. Milwaukee's definitely tough. Playing Boston again, you can only hope that you can do the same thing like you did on Sunday, but I think Boston's going to fight a lot harder. We beat them by 20 plus on Sunday. I don't think that will happen again, honestly. I think it'll be a lot closer. Or Boston will just say, hey, we had a fluke game and beat us by 20 plus. And then Pistons, I think will be an interesting game. I think we could beat them. I'm interested to see actually how Sadiq Bey plays. I'm interested to see him. He's a fun young rookie in his own right. And then Miami is a rivalry of ours, one of our rivalries. So we'd like to get a win against them, but they've got Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Goran Dragic,
Jimmy Buckets,
Jimmy Buckets, Duncan Robinson. Yeah. They've got great players on their team. So if we could get LaMelo back at the early week or at the end of the week to play the Heat and the Pistons, then we may have a chance.
I definitely think even without LaMelo, the Pistons is probably going to be the easiest game for you guys. I enjoy watching Sadiq play. I know that I was really interested in him when the draft came around. I was kind of hoping that we would get him or Halliburton was who I was hoping for. Vassell was just kind of under the radar for me, but I really enjoyed watching him play as well. So I really thought that the rookie class that we've had so far this year, we've had probably 6 or 7 that are still playing really well. You know, you have Anthony Edwards, you have the kid that's at or Halliburton who's at Sacramento who's playing really well.
You know who's a dark horse on that list, in my opinion? Peyton Pritchard.
I enjoy watching him play for Boston. He is very talented.
It's funny. Boston's my second team, but not when they play the Hornets. But Peyton Pritchard.
He is talented. I think is he from Oregon? I think
he is. Okay. Who thought this guy from Oregon would just ball out on a loaded Celtics team?
Right.
No one did, because they've got other guards like Marcus Smart, and then you got Kemba, of course.
But you know what? COVID defined this year as far as injuries, and Boston was one of those teams that got hit up with injuries. And so, you know, they ended up needing their rookie before that they probably planned on needing him. And he's done very well. So right now, you guys are in 8th, and you're at 500. You're at 30-30. So, you know, you guys are sitting pretty nice. If you could move up to maybe the 7th or the 6th seed, I know you guys would love to move up to 6th and not have to be in the play-in tournament. But
I don't want to be in the play-in tournament.
Yeah, looking at y'all's schedule, it's looking like y'all are probably still going to continue probably at the 7th or the 8th position.
Yeah, because next week we got the Pistons again, we got the Bulls, we got the Magic, and then we got the Pelicans. Hopefully next week we could get 3 wins, like against the Pistons, the Bulls, and the Magic. Pelicans is going to be tough, but that'll be an interesting game.
Right.
But hopefully we could catch a little spark and say, hey, let's not be in this play-in game, because if we're in the actual playoffs, we'll make noise.
Right.
I think we're one of those teams that can shock people, that you shouldn't sleep on, that will bring you to 6 or, dare I say it, 7 games.
Maybe. Well, good luck on your games this week, and go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you, and we'll see you back next week, Will.
Okay, thank you, Megan. Thank you, everybody. You guys can find me on Instagram at WVOGS. I talk Hornets. I post sports pictures from the college I work at. I go to their sporting events. I go to Hornets games. I go to Panthers games. Feel free to message me about sports or anything or any questions, what you think, what I can help you. Like if you have any questions and want to know about something and my opinion on it. And you could check me up on the Sip Off hosted by Megan Price. I know that guy. Hi, Scott. How are you? Those are my YouTube buddies. I do YouTube in the part-time, doing sports stuff, sports cards. And yeah, if you guys could check me out on the Sip Off hosted by Megan. I won't be on there this weekend because I'll be at the Hornets game, but I'll be sure to recap it on the Carousel on Monday. And don't worry, Megan, I'll be sending you pictures.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Will. I'm excited to see those. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move over to a team in the West who's also had some returns from major injury. We have Gerald covering the Los Angeles Lakers. Hi, Gerald. How are you?
I'm well, Megan. How are you?
Doing well. Great to see you. I wanted to show you your notes. I have all kinds of questions for you.
I'm ready to answer them. No worries.
Awesome. So you guys played the Mavericks Saturday, and it was a loss. Anthony Davis has returned. He's been back for what, 2-3 games now?
2 games, yes. Well, actually, right now, as we speak, it's 3 games because they're at halftime of the Lakers being at Orlando right now. They're down 56-50 at the half.
Okay. And so how do you feel about AD's return?
Very sluggish, very rusty. Even today, he's a little bit more accurate today, looks a little bit more in shape from what I'm seeing, but it's going to be a work in progress. We're still seeing a lot that he has to left to do on both sides of the floor. A little bit slow on both ends, a little bit he's not able to quickly pick up these things as he once did. And that takes time. He's been out for over 30 games. He's been, like I said, just someone that's a little rusty right now, and that happens to everyone. Even LeBron, when he comes back, will be rusty, although people are saying, oh, it's going to be 1 game, he'll be just fine. But with Anthony Davis, it's just about him getting back on rotation, getting some reps, getting more minutes, and being able to get in better shape. And we're looking to have him back to the AD that we all know and respect, and by the time the playoffs hit. That's what we're looking more towards. Nothing right now. If we get anything now from him as far as really positive on both ends of the floor, that's great. But we're really looking for him to get back in shape by the end of the season and going into the playoffs.
Is there any word on LeBron? How soon we'll be able to see him?
Well, the last report was the fact that when they were in Brooklyn a couple weeks ago, it was reported that it would be about a 3-week time frame. So if that's the case, this would be the time frame right now, about with another 7 to 10 days left. I heard he has been running on the court. That's the rumor that we hear, that he obviously has the brace off. He has all the things that have been preventing and helping his ankle heal. He's been running on the court, working out, and hopefully he'll get back to on-the-court activities if he's not already, but we have not heard anything official. But if you go by Adrian Wojnarowski's timeline back when they were in Boston, we're looking at probably a 7 to 10 day period from our conversation right now.
Okay, so soon, and he'll, probably have 4 or 5 games to kind of get back into the groove of playing with AD before the playoffs start. So you guys, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, LeBron's game is more focused on drives, and if he focuses more on that early on and sees what he can do to penetrate, the defenses, and not focus too much on his outside shot, that will come back in time. I know that the tendency is to go ahead and be the same old LeBron, but I'm hoping he'll focus more on an inside game where he's taking a lot of easier shots for himself and then developing that 3-point shot that, like, he had close to 38% from the field, from the 3-point area before the injury. So I'm not expecting big things from outside right away, but I am expecting for him to go ahead and help this offense tremendously once he gets back in the lineup.
Good to hear. So, you guys are in 5th right now. You're sitting at 35 and 25. Are you concerned about falling into the play-in tournament? We have about 11 games left. this week looks kind of easy for you guys, but next week is going to be tough.
Well, the next 5 games, like you said, it's going to be pretty easy on the surface, on paper, although nothing is easy right now with the Lakers offense. They're playing still at a top level when it comes to the defensive end. They're still top 3 in the NBA when it comes to defense, even without LeBron in the lineup. And now that they have AD, that hopefully will get better. But offensively, it's been a struggle. That's been the major issue, struggling to go ahead and find 4 consistent offensive quarters. We even saw it tonight where the Lakers got off to a big lead to Orlando and gave it all up in the second quarter because they just couldn't put the ball in the basket. That's going to continue being an issue. I'm concerned a little bit about the Mavericks, who are now 1 game back in the loss column. But with Portland struggling even more than the Lakers right now, I'm not as worried about them because I think that they're seeing a lot of issues with injuries and just some tired Damian Lillard. He looks really tired out there on the floor, not able to go ahead and generate the kind of offense that we normally see from him. So I'm not too concerned about them falling into 7th, but I am concerned about falling them into 6th. That to me would be an issue because then you'd be playing either the Suns or the Clippers at this point in time. Mm-hmm. With the Clippers, Clippers look right now like one of the hottest teams in the NBA, and they're going to go in strong, I think, going into the NBA playoffs. Whereas with the Lakers, if you can stay in the 5th spot, that would be advantageous because you have Denver, who obviously have Jamal Murray out, and now Will Barton's out. So you have substantial injuries there, and it would make a much easier beginning for AD and LeBron, who are just getting back from injury. And that would be awesome if they could go ahead and have that 4-5 matchup.
Interesting. Yeah, you definitely want to play the Nuggets compared to the Suns or the Clippers. I do think, I agree. I think the Clippers are going to have the best look in the West at the moment as far as a playoff run. It pains me to say it because I'm a Spurs fan and I don't like Kawhi anymore. But, I have to agree. I think they look fabulous on both ends of the court, and they're just playing really well together.
But so we've seen this before. Well, we've seen this before for the Clippers. They are playing tremendous right now. But let's see in the playoffs. And again, with AD and LeBron, if LeBron comes back with like 6, 7, 8 games left, I mean, that still gives them the time. Plus, if they go ahead and have a first round against Denver, that's another 3 or 4 games. They could finally get back into shape, and hopefully they could find a rhythm by the time they would match up against the Suns or the Clippers.
Right. And so I have one last question about, just kind of y'all's lineup as y'all have been so injured over the last couple of months. I'm a big Kyle Kuzma fan. I had kind of the opinion that he just needed a little better coaching and maybe on a different team where he could shine and be that star he wants to be. Do you think he lived up to that hype? Because at this moment, he was supposed to be able to carry the team while y'all were through injuries. He was one of the bigger names. And do you feel like he lived up to that hype over this time period?
Well, I've always been a Kyle Kuzma fan as well. Since I saw him in the first game live here in Las Vegas, I was actually able to go ahead and see him in that first night when nobody knew him, and he did so well. And he was actually inside the arena here at UNLV, and he was taking autographs. Nobody knew who he was at that time, and he's grown into a player who was a latter round, first round draft pick into someone that has been very confident in his own abilities, even though he's not been consistent. And you're right. This was a great time for him to go ahead and step up and be that consistent player. Now, he's developed his game in a lot of different ways. He's become a much better defensive player, which was something he was a joke as early on. He was basically a matador early on. I mean, his offense, as far as his outside shooting, is a lot better than what it once was, but it still has work to do. If when he sets his feet, he's a really good shooter, but the problem is he gets a little bit happy feet and he goes all over the place sometimes and gets off balance quite a bit, and that creates a lot of problems for his shot. But he is a good playmaker. He is a good rebounder. He's been able to go ahead and find different things to do different ways to contribute to the team than what he once did. Back when, like I said, he was a rookie, it was all about scoring. It was all about trying to get the ball in the basket, and he was always going to be that empty stats guy. But now he's become a major spark plug for the team on occasion. But the problem is finding the consistency. I was hoping he was going to be able to step up and be that star player that the Lakers needed when LeBron and AD were down. But unfortunately, even though there's been glimpses of it, he's not been consistent. And I think that's the overall issue. Could it be where he finds greener pastures somewhere else and finds that consistency? I'm not sure. You said it's maybe because of the coaching. It's also because of the fact, remember, he was a late first-round draft choice, so the expectations on him were not as much as other players. But, again, if he finds that consistency, I see a great career from him. It's just about finding that consistency. Whether or not he finds on the Lakers behind AD and LeBron, that's going to be hard to do. So maybe a change of scenery could be best in the offseason for him.
Do you think, to follow up with that, do you think Schroeder is the one that kind of shined during this time period that you guys were so injured?
Well, that's the thing with the Lakers offense so bad over the course of the past couple weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks since LeBron has been injured and AD has been out. Nobody's really continuously shined. There's been inconsistency. I mean, the offense, while LeBron has been out, the offense has been number 30 in the league. So nobody is shining when it comes to that consistently. I mean, you'll get a good game from Schroeder once, and then a couple games he'll be gone. One good game from Kuzma once, and a couple games he'll be gone. Andre Drummond comes in, a good game from him once, and then he's gone. It's not consistent, and that's the problem right now with the team about generating offense. Defensively, there's not been an issue. Again, they've managed to go ahead and maintain their top 5 standing in the league defensively. It's a matter of just trying to get that ball in the basket. That's been really hard to do. The outside shooting has been very flaky at best. And generating points in the paint has also been very difficult for them as well. So the challenge is there for the Lakers. And LeBron, when he comes back, will make it a lot easier. But the thing is, when LeBron goes out of the lineup, how are the Lakers going to consistently generate points in the paint?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, big questions in the air for the Lakers over the next couple of weeks. Good luck on your games this week, and especially good luck on your games next week. Your next week's schedule, you have the Clippers, Trailblazers, Suns, and Knicks. So tough week next week. Hope to see you back very soon, Gerald. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you, and we'll see you back as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Just let me know when you need me. I'll be back anytime you want. Again, for me, it's Gerald Glassford. I'm at the Lakers Fast Break, at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter. Of course, you can also hear the Lakers Fast Break wherever you get your podcasts, Dash Radio, and the Hoop Heads Podcast Network.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move to the team that's actually playing the Lakers right now. We have Alex Flemming covering the Orlando Magic. Nice view.
I know. I wish you were here. Now, I heard Gerald, and I'm not going to be, off the cuff, but I have a question for you before we talk about basketball. What are you wearing, baby girl? You're a distraction right now.
Oh. I'm wearing a shirt.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know what he was talking about because Anthony Davis has a mistress, and it's the Orlando Magic basketball floor. He's flopped and hit the ground so many times before halftime. It's like, I'm telling you, they need to get a room. Anyway, before Anthony Davis made this last bucket, there was no Laker in double figures. Chuma Okeke crammed one down on Andre Drummond, sent this place a roar. Rebounds. The real key stat is free throws. They're both shooting about 5 of 13, 5 of 14 from the three-point line. All right? And, the Magic, look, real talk. They just came in here with their Gucci bags like it's a vacay. They ain't taking anything seriously. You better wake up because games like this will get you the 6th seed, and you don't want that.
They came to Orlando for the sunshine, right? But
I'm trying to tell you.
You guys had 40 points in that second quarter, and that's what Gerald was talking about, losing that lead in that second quarter. So 40 points. Wow.
Yes, sir. I got to speak with Coach Corbin. Yes, Coach Corbin, because Coach Steve Clifford has COVID. He'll be gone for a couple of days. I got to speak with Coach Corbin, and he was like, you see our record, you see their record. They're supposed to have a little bit of swagger. But don't think you're going to come in here and just take one because you can catch an L.
Absolutely. Don't sleep on those teams that you think you're going to catch an automatic win on. So hopefully the schedule for the rest of y'all this week is going to be a little bit easier. And then you have a back-to-back with the Grizzlies. How do you feel about those games?
I love me some John Morant. I knew him when he was a Murray State racer. One of my friends that I grew up with actually taught him while he was in college. She gave me the heads up about him. I asked him his rookie year, what made you so fearless? He was like, why the hell not? They put on shoes just like I put on shoes. You know,
Right.
you don't get anywhere in life being afraid. So, yeah, I mean, he's a real one. But I don't think I'll be able to catch that one because, you know, I'm working all the time. I got things to do.
I know. I'll see you there. And then you guys will be on Monday. Y'all get the win on Monday.
We just hit a 3. Chuma. Chuma. No,
Awesome.
this is you in less than 5-6 months. The regular season comes back around. I can see you doing this for WNBA and for NBA because I mean, this is you.
I'm trying. I'm actually looking at a couple of destinations right now and trying to figure out where I'm going to catch a WNBA game come June. So I'm hoping I can catch the Mercury playing the Wings on the 9th or 11th. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm trying for. So if I can find some tickets, it's hard to catch tickets nowadays.
You know, Megan, I think you can diversify your profile if you wrote for the Dallas Wings. I think there's a position open, and you know what? That's in your wheelhouse. And if you're going to cover the Dallas Wings, I mean, Mark Cuban's right there.
Right. Well, and I was going to catch a game that the Mercury's playing, but against the Wings, because I do enjoy covering them quite a bit. Well, good luck on your games this week. Thank you so much for coming on. Let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you.
You should never do that. The Sports Arena, Eric Wilson, hardest working man that works harder than me. Florida Sun, review and online. You can catch it in Orlando or the surrounding cities, or you can catch me online. I got a brand new piece about all you haters that want to say something bad about Justin Fields. I think it's time to rearrange the narrative. Mookie Hawkins, WUFO Sports, Buffalo, New York. We did a mock draft together. We're going to be doing a show together Thursday. Made you look. Journey with the Jays. John Shearer, get better. JB Ellis, Jake Malik. I mean, it's real. Pop-up shop. That's when brothers get to talking, and we will roast you. That's Sundays. Say what? Say it again. Happy birthday to Tyrus Ray. He just turned, I think, 58, but he's a good guy.
And for everybody watching, I'm going to share Alex's. I'm going to share his article as soon as we finish the show.
Skull King Sports, Ryan Skullroot and Scott Morganroth, the mouth of the Detroit South. He usually covers hockey, but Jacksonville's coming up in the future. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm a Jacksonville press box reporter. I forgot. I'm a humble guy. I'm just naming off stuff because, you know, it's not easy. But, you know, once you build up your resume, you can smile.
Thank you so much, Alex. We'll see you again. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on to someone who's covering two different teams this week, actually. We have Cool Mccain covering the Milwaukee Bucks and the Denver Nuggets. Hi, Cool.
Hi, Megan. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have to agree with Alex. I am distracted today. Just want to point that out.
Oh, okay. Adjust my camera a little bit. So let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks first. You guys are still in third. You're 37-23, yep. But you're coming off a loss to the Atlanta Hawks. An Atlanta Hawks without Trae Young. Right.
Yeah, very disappointing loss. You got to stay focused. That's the kind of loss that'll keep you in third place.
You know, you guys, the score was 111-104. So it wasn't like a blowout. It wasn't just like an extremely close game, but close enough that that hurt. What do you feel like you guys were missing in this game?
I think they came expecting to win because Trae Young was out, forgetting that Atlanta doesn't care that Trae Young's out there, still came to play. It's like sometimes Milwaukee forgets, I do still need to win games to try to get to that second position. And, we've basically stood still for the last 2 weeks, right? We're still 3.5 games back. We were 3.5 games back last week. We were 3.5 games back the week before that. We were 3.5 games back the week before that. So we're kind of sitting still and sitting stagnant. So we're not gaining any ground. We're not losing any ground to the teams below us, but that's expected. But we're kind of just stuck right there at third place. So unless they get a fire lit up under there, these last about 12 to 14 games, we're going to be looking at one home game, one home series in playoffs.
Oh, goodness. So, yeah, you definitely want to move it up a little bit. So, in this game against Atlanta, Giannis had 31 points, 4 assists, and 14 rebounds. So, Giannis just doing the same type of stuff that he always does. Chris Middleton, who I know we didn't see in a couple of games last week, he had 23 points, 2 assists, 6 rebounds. And then Drew Holiday, one of my favorite players in the league, he had 19 points, 11 assists, and 5 boards. So, it just looks like maybe you were missing some bench depth as far as scoring.
Yeah, and we normally can get a little bit more out of Drew as well offensively. But, it all depends on game by game because it's even the point guard. One of the things is sometimes it's distributing and setting the other guys up and not always looking for your shot. But in some of these games where they're kind of tight, we do need him to kind of be a little bit more selfish as well.
Understandable. I mean, he did have the 11 assists like you're alluding to there. So if he has the shot, maybe he should take that at that moment. You guys play the Hornets tomorrow and then the Rockets on Thursday. So, Hornets will be an interesting game. Rockets will probably be a gimme. Bulls on Friday. And then you have a back-to-back with the Nets Sunday and Tuesday. How do you feel about the schedule this week?
So I look at the schedule this week. I mean, quite frankly, we got a worst case scenario split with the Knicks. We have to beat the Hornets. We need to beat the Rockets as well. So I'm looking at this as we need to go somewhere between 4-1 in the next 5 games and 3-2. Really need to go 4-1. It's kind of hard to go undefeated, but it's a matter of focus and everybody doing their job. And then some of our our better players understanding that there are certain games where you're needed to be that score. So sometimes it's more important to get those those few extra points so that those games like we're talking about against a team like the Hawks without their best player, we can try to get wins in those. But like I said, it's an uphill battle right now because they're feeling a little stagnant. We have everybody back now, so there's no missing pieces. It's just getting everybody, in there together and keeping that aggressiveness down the stretch. Worried about that seeding. It's all about the seeding right now.
Absolutely. And the Knicks have moved into 4th, excitingly. So they're right behind y'all, but they're 3.5 games behind you. And then the Hawks, I guess they're tied for 4th. The Knicks and the Hawks are tied for 4th. So, you have those right behind you. So if you go on a losing streak, I mean, that is a bit of a gap. 3.5 games is a bit of a gap. But if y'all go on a losing streak, look out.
Yeah, and the Knicks are one of the hottest teams in the league. Them and the Wizards. They're both 9-1 in their last 10 games. So these are 2 teams that are trending up. Yep, the Wizards as well. Yeah, they've slid themselves actually all the way up to 10th now. So if the season ended today, the Wizards would be in the playoffs.
That's crazy. And when we started the season, everyone was talking about how bad the Wizards were.
They got everybody back, and it looks like they're starting to fill their roles. Bradley Beal's doing his job. We know what we're going to get out of Russell Westbrook. I know it was about maybe a week ago. I saw an article where they were talking about how he had gotten really upset with his team because it was some fast breaks and they were missing easy plays, and he was gotten mad and just stopped playing. And then he went over to the huddle when they had the next break and he was just yelling at everyone. So I guess he kind of lit a fire into everybody and realized they actually have someone that's going to hold him accountable now. And
this was Westbrook?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely going to hold him accountable. And that's my favorite thing about Westbrook is that work ethic. He's going to be there at the gym 24/7. He's not missing practice, and he's going to hold himself and everyone else accountable. So that's one of my favorite things about Westbrook. Well, let's go ahead and move over to your other team this week. We have the Denver Nuggets, who are in 4th. They're 39-21. And you guys have had a couple of major injuries. You've had Murray, of course, and then Barton as well. Is Barton going to be out for the duration of the season?
No, he's going to be out for a few games, but he'll be coming back. And Monte Morris is out as well. So our backup point guard is out as well. Yeah. But Austin Rivers was signed. So he'll at least provide some depth until we get some of those other guys back. So a little tough with the front court, but we're getting a lot more out of Michael Porter Jr. He's really stepped up. He's averaging over 20 points in the last 6 or 7 games. So he's really stepping up. He's making threes. He's attacking the board. He's being the player that people anticipated him being, in high school and during his 1 year of college. So he's kind of blossomed into that player, and we definitely need that right now. And I think this is good for him because I know earlier in the season, one of the biggest things was when he made mistakes, he get pulled because you had the luxury of saying, I still have Jamal Murray, I still have Jokic, I still have this, I still have that. Where the team's at now, you got to play through it. And I think that's helping him. Aaron Gordon is doing a lot. If you look at his stat lines, they're not 20, 10, and 5 or anything like that, but he's defending the best player on the other team every game. He's holding them to minimal games based on what they normally do. And he's still contributing when needed. He's bought into the philosophy, pass the ball, move the ball around. Next guy up, we got to make it. We got to do what we have to do. And Jokic is definitely cementing himself, in my opinion, as the MVP, or at least definitely one of the finalists for the MVP award.
I agree. My only difference between Embiid and Jokic as far as the MVP race is Embiid missed games with that injury, with his knee injury. So that's pretty much the only difference maker to me. Like, they're both just playing at such a high level and consistently, and their team is winning. So, those are all those areas, and they're both doing really well. So the only thing for me that puts Jokic above Embiid is that time that he was injured. So you were talking about Michael Porter Jr. stepping up in this game against the Rockets that you guys had on Saturday. Y'all won 129-116, and MPJ had 39 points, 2 assists, and 6 rebounds. So huge game for him. Jokic had 24 points, 12 assists, and 8 boards, almost a triple-double. And then Dozier had 23 points, 3 assists, and 7 rebounds. So you mentioned Austin Rivers. In that game, he had 9 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds. So how many games has Austin Rivers played for with you guys?
I believe he's played in 2 or 3 games, because I know he was signed last week. So he's been in a couple of the games. So it was really fortunate that we were able to work out the contract when we did, because he came in right around the time that Monte Morris went down. So then we lost another, guard. And PJ Dozier is another one of our backups. He's a guy that, up and down with consistency. He's a young player, so you expect that. So him having a big game is also important for us, or someone in the backcourt. If not him, then Campazzo, and then obviously getting some contributions from Rivers as well is something we're going to need, until we can get some of those other guys back to kind of take a little bit of that scoring load off, because that's, it can get difficult.
Do you feel like Austin Rivers is that piece that can help y'all get through that, or have you been impressed with the couple of games that he's played?
I've been impressed with him playing within himself and in the system. So what I've seen from him so far is he's just doing what's asked of him. He's not attempting to do anything outside of it. And one of the knocks on him has been sometimes he comes in and he wants to play the way Austin Rivers wants to play, and he wants to be where Austin Rivers want to be in the locker room. But I'm thinking that, this 10-day contract and whatever may have been said when everything was done has kind of got him buying into what it is that the Nuggets are doing. And that can only benefit us down the road, because he does have playoff experience where some of these young guys that are playing now don't. So it could be a benefit for us to have him if he can continue to do what he's doing for us right now.
Right. When he was with the Clippers, I think they knocked the Spurs out a couple of different seasons with him playing for them. So he does have some playoff experience. But like you said, he is known for a bit of an attitude problem. If he can come in and be that piece over there in the Nuggets, because, Malone has a system, and they have some success at what they're doing right now. So you guys play Grizzlies today, Pelicans Wednesday, Raptors Thursday, Clippers Saturday, and then you finish up the week with the Lakers. So you have a 5-game week. That's tough, especially going through injury. But at least you do have Austin Rivers, like you said. Also in that game against the Rockets, you had JaMychal Green, who had 10 points. That's interesting. I don't know a whole lot about him. Has he been much of a scorer for you guys? Has he had much of an impact with the Nuggets?
Yeah, JaMychal's one of the better bench players that we have. We were looking to get him over from the Clippers from last year. He's made big threes, big rebounds, big plays for us for the entire season. Sometimes it doesn't show up on the box score, because one of the things I really like about him as well is it's all about the team. It's not, if I get 20 points this game, if you need me, I can, but I'll do whatever it takes to help the team, and understanding that we've got to hustle, we've got to get the balls, we've got to rebound, we got to pass it around, we got to get the easiest shots that we can, because we're down a lot of our ammunition right now.
Well, dang, it sounds like we need to get him over to the Spurs.
We'll keep him.
we need some solid bench players. Well, thank you so much, Cole. Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you, your own projects, and we'll see you back next week.
Absolutely. So I'm going to have something new coming up soon, but right now, playcallersportstalk.com. We're normally on Friday nights, but we're actually going to be on Thursday doing a draft party, we're calling it.
Right.
It'll start about 7:45. So you guys check us out. Tune in, playcallersportstalk.com. Always follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Cool Mccain, Facebook Cool Mccain. And also Denver 7-3 in the last 10 games. Golden State Warriors are as well. The only team that's done better in the West is the LA Clippers. So stay tuned, folks. It's going to get exciting down the stretch.
It is going to get exciting, and the Clippers are playing well. Thank you so much, Cool. We'll see you next week.
All right.
All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and keep it in the West. We have Jordan Long covering the Phoenix Suns. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, Megan.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Awesome. Talk to me about your team.
Well, we're playing the Knicks right now. I think, let's see, we were behind by a lot when Will was on, but I think we have closed the gap, and now it is a 7-point game at halftime. So we're coming back, but we're on a back-to-back. We played yesterday in Brooklyn, and it looked like, I wouldn't say we were going to run away with it, but in the first half, we were playing pretty well. We were up 61-59, and actually we were shooting pretty well, 45.1%, and the Nets 48.8%. But then in the second half, Nets just got hot. I mean, they had Kevin Durant back, and he had 33 points in that game. It's hard to stop Kevin Durant. And then I think Blake Griffin added 16. So right there is their bench points. It was really hard to stop them.
Let's see. Booker had a really good game. He had 36 points. And then Ayton had 20 points and 13 rebounds. So that's huge. And then Torrey Craig had 20 points and 14 rebounds. So that's really good too. I think that when I watch the Suns and I watch the Nets, I compare the two of y'all a lot. Like, I see very similar teams and very similar offenses. To me personally, that's what I think. I think they have very similar offenses. But I think one of the big concerns, and it's the same concern that I have for the Nets, is defensively.
It certainly is right. I mean, defensively, we give up too many points. We do have DeAndre Ayton. We have guys that can play defense, but the problem is when teams start doing ball movement, and this is true for most NBA teams, they can't go out and guard the three-point shooting. That has hurt us all year, is the opponent's three-point shooting.
Interesting. So you guys, like you said, play the Knicks today, and then you play the Clippers on Wednesday, Jazz on Friday, and then the Thunder on Sunday. So tough week ahead. You should be able to maybe finish up with not a guaranteed win, but maybe not as tough of a game come Sunday. But Knicks, Clippers, Jazz, that's tough right there.
It really is. And the Knicks are the number one defensive team in this league. And then you're playing the Jazz, which, they don't have Donovan Mitchell, but they're still the number one seed in the West. So if we want to actually get up and up in the standings, we have to play them. We've already lost to them twice. Or no, lost to them one. We beat them once the last time we played, which was a back-to-back. And then we played the Clippers the next night. We lost that game. And the Clippers have actually beaten us twice. So we're trying to avoid this season sweep there. But the fact of the matter is the Clippers are actually we're tied right now, but we have percentage points over them because of our winning percentage. But that could be the determining factor is the season series. Whoever wins that could end up with the second seed. And we really wanted to try to avoid playing the Utah Jazz in the second round, especially if we win the first round.
Absolutely. And I want to go ahead and just shout out y'all's record right quick. Y'all are 42-18. And when you guys played Brooklyn, you were 41 they are 41-20. So they're number one in the East. Y'all are number two in the West, and you really have a better record than what they have. So just the competition in the West is a little bit different. The number one team, obviously, in the East has fewer wins than what's going on in the West. The Jazz has 44 wins. So you guys are 2 games or 1.5 games behind. And kind of depending on when Donovan Mitchell comes back, even though they are winning games, that's that guarantee that they're going to win games is when Donovan Mitchell's in the game.
Well, yeah, especially since what he does on the floor with his ball movement, and he can drive, shoots all over the court. So I'm just glad right now that we don't have to play them when we play them this week. Right. But once he comes back, he's definitely a game changer. We saw that in the playoffs last year. Sure, they lost the Nuggets lost that series when they were ahead 3-1, but Donovan Mitchell was definitely the difference maker in that playoff series.
Absolutely. So let's talk about CP3. He's had an amazing last couple of weeks. He had an interesting stat line, and this was a couple of days ago, so I'm sure it's changed a little bit, but he had 67 assists and only 3 turnovers in about a 7-game period. That's
CP3. He doesn't turn the ball over. That's the best thing about him. His vision on the court is unbelievable. Just to pass it to either Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Cameron Jordan, who's ever on the court, his vision is unbelievable, and he can drive. And when there is a defender on him, he doesn't give up the ball. I know he's not going to probably win the MVP, but he should be in the conversation because of the fact that you look at last year, the Suns were, a game out of the playoffs in the bubble, winning 8 in a row. And the only reason why they're in this playoff spot as the second seed is because of the play of Chris Paul. He's elevated them to title contenders, as well as, taking the pressure off of Booker. It's an unbelievable thing that one little trade can do that.
He's a floor general for sure. And just that basketball IQ is ridiculous when it comes to CP3. I really enjoy watching him play, and he absolutely is a difference maker on y'all's team. And I also want to say that I don't really think that Billy Donovan should have got that coach of the year nomination. It should have been CP3 because he was that coach over there. When he was
you're right.
And he did the same thing with OKC. When Westbrook went to Houston and CP3 went to OKC, they actually made the playoffs and looked pretty good. Now, they didn't make it out of the first round, but they did, vast improvements over what everybody thought they were going to do. So CP3 is that star that you want to see. Hopefully, y'all catch a chip, because I would love to see him get a chip.
It would be really nice. We haven't gone all the way. We've been to the NBA Finals twice. The last time was 1993. Unfortunately, we ran into Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and the Bulls when they were three-peating. But we had Charles Barkley. But the fact of the matter is we haven't gone all the way to the final since then. I think the furthest we went was with Steve Nash, was the last time we made the playoffs, which was in 2010, and unfortunately ran into the Lakers and lost in 6 games in the Western Conference Finals. So would it be great to get Chris Paul a ring? Yes, that's the only thing that's missing in his Hall of Fame career. He's going to be in the Basketball Hall of Fame, but it'd be nice if he could finish out the last few years of his career with a championship, with at least one.
Right, definitely. Well, good luck on y'all's games this week, Jordan, and let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow your own projects, and we'll see you back next week.
Thank you, Megan. You can obviously follow or watch me here on the NBA Carousel. You can follow me at Sports Scoop 1 on Twitter, and look up my my blog at sports-scoop.com that I write Mondays through Fridays.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next week, Jordan. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and switch back over to the East. We have Jen Lewis covering the Boston Celtics. Hi, Jen.
Hey, Megan, how are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Good, thanks. Sorry, pulling up my notes.
Oh, you're good. You're good. So you guys are in 6th right now. You're 32-29. We were able to move up a little bit. And most recently, you guys...
Actually, we moved down.
Oh, you moved down.
Last week we moved down. We were 4th last week.
Oh, okay.
So we moved down 2 spots.
You guys lost to Charlotte yesterday, and then I think you had one more loss on Friday to the Nets. But the Nets, that was a really close game. That was 104-109. That's heartbreaking. But yesterday, you guys got blown out by Charlotte. What do you think was going on?
Well, I think Kemba said it best. The Hornets just didn't let the Celtics get a move on. You also had 4 players from the Hornets, who is, like, honestly my primary team, because, man, skyline behind me would be downtown Charlotte. And they, 4 players for Charlotte alone had over 20 points each. So there's that. You also had Jason Tatum, who's exhausting. You have Jaylen Brown, who ended up getting a shoulder injury during the game. who's out for tomorrow night's game. We have Kemba, who did good, but Kemba is such a beloved figure. Like Kemba and Cam, the two favorite Panther and Hornet players, you know, in recent history.
Right.
Just who it is, how it is. And like the first time Kemba came home to play against the Hornets, we did a huge like video montage of Kemba. So, you know, that's going to be kind of bittersweet for Kemba to play anytime he's here.
Right.
Then,
Absolutely.
you know, the Celtics have been on the road. So, and that's where the losing streak is coming because they haven't played at home. Now, they do start playing at home tomorrow against, who are we playing tomorrow? I'm sorry, my computer died.
OKC.
Okay, thank you. Against the Thunder. And then we play the Hornets again on Wednesday night, but LaMelo is supposed to be back on Wednesday.
Wednesday is when you're playing. Interesting.
LaMelo is back Wednesday. Then
awesome.
We're playing you guys Friday. So that'll be, for us, a must-win. It's a must-win for you guys, too.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be, I think that game will be the game of the week, in my humble opinion, because it's going to come down to, at this point in the day, I think it'll come down to who's got the ball last on Friday night.
Unfortunately, my team's probably going to be exhausted. I don't know if you heard my opening segment. We actually play. Oh gosh, the last bit of our schedule is just really tough. But I do agree that I think that that's going to be the most exciting game as far as our schedule. We play the Sixers on Sunday, but I don't know. I don't see us winning that game. But playing you guys on Friday, like you said, it's a must-win situation. We're in 9th right now. You guys are in 6th, and it's just one of those must-win games. So I think everybody's going to come in and just play as hard as possible. So
I agree with you 100%.
On the trade deadline, you guys picked up Evan Fourier. How do you feel about that? I know in this game against Charlotte yesterday, he had 0 points. He had 3 rebounds, 1 assist, but he played for 20 minutes and didn't sink a bucket.
Let's see how he does going forward.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm not willing to knock somebody, you know, when they're still learning the playbook. When they're still getting comfortable, when they're still learning the team. Right. And when you're going up against, I mean, if you think about it yesterday, like yesterday's game against the Hornets was odd because you have Hayward. I mean, he was on the bench, but you have Hayward. You have Dozier. You have Wanamaker, all former Celtics. You have Kemba, former Hornet. It's a bittersweet game for everybody.
Yeah, that is kind of a weird dynamic there.
And Terry Rozier was like, he even said after the April 4th game, he made the point. He goes, it's time for us to stop losing to the Celtics. It's time for me to remind them who they lost.
Oh, well, he's been playing really well.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Terry's had a one-man mission there.
Right. And so, you know, I know we've talked about this a little bit this season already, but I feel like Tristan Thompson is not the answer for your center position.
I'm disappointed.
Definitely.
Take Tristan to the curb. And I was thinking about this earlier. Like, did LeBron make Tristan? Like,
Probably.
Did LeBron James make Tristan good?
There are very few players that LeBron plays with that he doesn't make a better player. And so I want to say in Tristan's case, almost 100% sure, 99% sure LeBron made him a better player. LeBron made Kevin Love a better player. Even though Kevin Love's good, he's been injury prone the last couple of years, but I absolutely believe LeBron made Tristan a better player for sure.
Well, Tristan needs to dig deep because he's getting on my nerves. He's getting paid a lot of money, and he's not doing a lot. And
I agree. He only had
rebounds.
He only had 5 points, 1 assist, and then 4 rebounds. So the points, you can kind of go on the lower side, but you need to see those rebounds up there like that. You want to see 11, 12 rebounds. When you're, like you said, when you're getting paid like you're getting paid, you need to be in the paint.
Exactly. And then you have somebody like Peyton Pritchard, who's really coming into his own. And you have Jason Tatum, who's put up his 14th double-double of the season, even when you're losing, 125 to 104. Come on, Tristan. The numbers are there, my friend. Get it together.
Yeah, when you're like a lot, like you were saying, that loss 104 to 109 to the Nets. If he could have just upped it up a little bit more on his position, because that's the position that's lacking. If he could have made 4 points, 5 more points, you guys probably would have had that game.
Exactly. He just needs to step it up. Now, I don't know if he's like scared to play in New York because of his personal issues with the city or whatever. But, when I go to work, I'll leave my stuff at the door.
Right.
Leave
Very
your
true.
stuff at the door. They don't
Right.
pay me to go inside and dwell on my personal ish.
Very true. Very, very,
and I
very
do
true.
not make the money he makes.
Right. Also very, very true. Well, thank you so much, Lynn. Good luck on your games this week. And let everybody know where they can.
Good luck to you.
Thank you. Let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you.
You can find me on Facebook at Jennifer Matthews Lewis. You can find me. I have Unlimited Sports updated. We also have Keep Pounding Nation, 2 states, 1 team. I also am at Jenna Cheryl on Twitter and on Reddit. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Megan.
Thanks, Jen. We'll see you next week. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and shoot back to the West. We have Jay Nelson covering the Houston Rockets. Hi, Jay.
What's going
How
on?
you doing?
Same.
Awesome. Slow boogie. Well, okay, so you guys had played the Nuggets on Saturday. You lost 129 to 116. And, as I'm looking at this, though, you didn't have John Wall. You didn't have Christian Wood. So you're still able to put up a real decent amount of points, even though you didn't have your 2 big names on the floor.
Yes, absolutely. Now my favorite one that had been stepping it up, Old Nick, he had a double-double. He had 21 and 11, 8 rebounds.
Right.
Also, Kenyon Jr. added 18, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. DJ Wilson even had 25. So, I'm looking at this young talent and everything, and I really think I'm not sitting here saying that we're a year away from the NBA Finals, but we should be back in the tournament next year. I like the direction that it's headed. Even though we're last in the league, it is what it is. It's a upside down league when the Hawks and the Knicks are about to make the playoffs, but not the Rockets.
Right. Very strange, yeah.
But I am very optimistic for next year. I like the direction that it's going. I like Steven Silas already, and just got to give him time. Sometimes you got to give him time.
I agree, and I'm a huge Steven Silas fan. My favorite thing about him is that he's not a yes man, not to the players, not to the organization. He wants what's best for the team and to win, not just to cater to the players or just cater to the front office. Like, he really wants to win. And I like the system that he has. So it's going to take some time for that to really work itself out. I do see you guys back in the playoffs next year, though. And I know I've said this before, but y'all definitely won the trade. Kelly Olynyk is really, really playing really well for you guys.
Yes, and this is why I said when it first happened, because the initial reaction was, "Oh, that was the worst trade. You guys got fleeced. You guys lost."
Right.
Well, Oladipo, he's battling injuries out there in Miami, and look at what Olynyk's doing, and then depending on what we do with these picks, that's why I tell everybody you have to let the trade play out. It's easy to talk about it at face value. You know what I mean? But if those picks that a team gets ends up panning out, and if later on, whatever star player doesn't end up panning out or whatever. I mean, I don't foresee James Harden falling off or anything like that. But, sometimes you have to let a trade work itself out. And realistically, it takes a couple years.
It does. It absolutely does. And especially when you have a brand new head coach as well.
Yes, absolutely. And Olynyk's really been stepping it up. Him and Wood, I can definitely see tag teaming it next year and really bringing big man ball back. I really like Kevin Martin Jr. I like Wilson. And we didn't have Augustine last game, but I thought that he had been contributing as of late. I think that he'll be a good fit in the system. So I'm very optimistic,
Awesome. So you guys play the Timberwolves on Tuesday, and then you have, or which is tomorrow, and then you have the Bucks Thursday, Warriors on Saturday, and Knicks on Sunday. So bit of a tough schedule. Tomorrow's game not as tough, but the rest of the week, woo.
Yeah, absolutely. The Minnesota, I mean, they're another bottom team. We had two. We split a back-to-back just earlier, where they came back down a 16-point deficit and beat us. Then the next night we beat them, so we could have had back-to-back. But this is a game where pretty much anything goes. I'm just at this point, I'm not even. If we win, fine. If not, I'm just seeing, what's going to be good for next year. I think we already just kind of started playing for next year. The draft is going to be very important. That's going to be the tail of the tape right there.
So do you feel like Silas is going to have a lot of influence on who y'all bring in during the draft?
Yes, I think he will. I think that with the new front office, Maury's gone, the CEO stepping down and everything. With the new front office, I think that they will let Silas say, like, hey, man, go pick your team.
Awesome. All right. Well, Jay, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you, and we'll see you back next week.
All right. Find me on Twitter at NillyNil13, NEIINEL13. Also, you can catch me on Roku on Visual Dramatics, VizD Productions. I'm a writer for them. You can also catch me on the Sip Off on Saturdays, hosted by Megan Price. Shout out Craig Davis. Shout out Marshall Hill, Malcolm Mitchell, Kings fam. One love. Be easy.
Bye, Jay. Thank you.
Thanks for having
All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and have our next representative come on, and who's also covering two teams. We have Steve covering the Brooklyn Nets and the Golden State Warriors. Hey, Steve.
How you doing, Megan?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Doing really well. Going a little bit later, so we're probably going to be joined by my daughter as soon as she's out of dance here in a minute.
Oh.
So, but it's all right. We'll get through this because we got two teams to talk about. So we got to get right to it. Yeah.
So, okay, Brooklyn took over the number one spot. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're 41-20 now. They're number one. Though really, we have to give a big shout out to Philadelphia for being 5-5 and losing 4 in their last 10 and losing 4 in a row, which has kind of helped the Nets get that number one spot back. So thanks, Philly. Good looking out. But obviously, and then of course the bad news: James Harden had a little setback with his strained hamstring,
Right.
So now he's out indefinitely, whatever that means. So the 7 to 10 days initially there at the end of March has been much longer than that. Hopefully, it's not more than 2 or 3 weeks. But obviously, with Kevin Durant, as long as he can stay healthy, and Kyrie Irving, if he can stay healthy, the Nets obviously still have enough to at least make the Eastern Conference Finals, if not the NBA Finals. On those two guys alone, obviously, they have the pedigree. They both have had tremendous finals performances already in their career. So
Right.
they have Toronto coming up tomorrow, who they did lose to last week, but that was without Durant. And then they have the Pacers after that, Portland on Friday, and then a Tuesday of next week, both at Milwaukee. So those would be 2 really big games for them. But obviously, if they can get 34 points in 33 minutes from Durant, or 26 minutes, excuse me, 26 minutes, he scored 34 points or 33 points, and then Kyrie had 34. So if you're going to get 67, 68 points between the two of them, I think they're going to be okay.
Right.
And they have a really, looking ahead, they have a really easy end of their season schedule where they have like Bulls, Spurs, and Cavs, 3 of their last 4 games. So, when you play the Bulls twice, you have the Spurs and you have the Cavs. And I know the Spurs, they're still in the 10th spot. They're right there.
Right.
They're going to be that playing game. They're going to be in that
moved
playing game. We'll talk about that in a second with the Warriors. So they're going to be in that playing game.
We moved to 9th, actually.
Yeah. Well, they're currently tied.
Oh, they're tied
at 31-30, and yeah. So if you want to, but yeah. But that's a great segue to talk about Golden State. At 31-30, they are both tied with the Spurs. And the important number for both of us, they're 4.5 games up now of the Pelicans. So that's big to fall out of that play-in tournament, whatever you want to call it. So 4.5 games comfortably ahead of the Pelicans. They're only a game out of 8th. They're only a game and a half out of 7th. And they're 3 games out of 6th. So, crazy things have happened because Portland is going so right now.
Right, they are.
So
they are.
Stranger things have happened. Obviously, the Warriors being 7-3 in their last 10. Steph Curry has been amazing. All he's doing is averaging 38 points, and 6 assists and 5 rebounds in his last 10 games. That's big deal. That's all. They have Dallas.
Historic month for him.
That's all. They have Dallas tomorrow, where he's only averaged 42.5 points a game in the 2 previous games against Dallas this year. That's all.
Ooh.
Then they have Minnesota on Thursday, and then looking ahead, they actually have a really fun schedule of Houston Pelicans, Thunder, and Thunder coming up. So Golden State has a real chance if Steph keeps doing what he's been doing this month. Obviously, the other day he set the NBA record for most made threes in a month at 85, passing James Harden's January of 2019 record of 82. And he has 2 more games to play where he'll probably hit, another 13 or 14 more in those 2 games. So, you got to like what he's doing. Obviously right now he's over 30 points a game on the season. And if they do make that run where they get to that 6th or 7th seed, that's when you can at least make the argument that he deserves MVP consideration. Right. When you're at 9 or 10, you can't really make that case. But if they get to 6 or 7, you can 100% make that case that he deserves to at least be in the conversation. Not that he's going to win it, because he's not, but you can at least make the conversation that he deserves to be in it. But yeah, he's been incredible. He's so much fun to watch. Being double teamed, being face guarded, it doesn't matter. He finds a way. He's in his range as soon as he gets to the gym. So he's just been incredible to watch, and they're not out of it yet. And I'll tell you what, if Phoenix or Utah, that first round series would not be a gimme for them if it's against Golden State, because yes, Golden State's not 100%. Obviously, James Wiseman injury really hurts. Obviously, not having Clay all year, but you still have Steph and Draymond and Andrew Wiggins,
right?
And Looney's been playing a little bit better of late, and Steve Kerr obviously is a good coach. He's been there before, and I mean, you talked earlier about the Suns. They don't really defend very well,
right?
So, if you get into a shootout, I like my chances. It'd be super it'd be super fun to watch Devin Booker and Steph Curry just trade threes all day. So,
and personally, it's similar records like you were alluding with the Spurs and Golden State. So it does look like Golden State will probably pass Spurs just as far as positioning because of the schedule. What you were just talking about, like who they have to finish up with. They have that back-to-back with the Pelicans, Rockets, Timberwolves. While the Spurs have back-to-backs with the Jazz and the Bucks and Trailblazers to play, and the Celtics and the Sixers, and so I don't see San Antonio being able to have a better record than Golden State at the end of the season. But I agree that if you are able to get that 8th seed, I like my chances against Utah or Phoenix at San Antonio, because
give me Pop every day of the week in a 7-game series that he can prepare for you. I mean, obviously the track record speaks for itself, and the Spurs are kind of rebuilding as far as what they were basically since 1999, what they've been. The last 20 years, basically. They're not quite at that level, but they're still obviously a very capable basketball team. Right. So. And especially, it was Houston's problem in the playoffs for years. Jump shooting teams are pretty easy to beat in the playoffs because jump shooting teams will lose because you could take away their jump shot, and that's all they really have. So, look at the
Knicks.
One of those teams feels good about that playoff matchup.
Right. I mean, look at the Knicks and how much of a difference their defense makes on that team, so defense does make a difference. Back to Golden State, though, Oubre came in and had 19 points on that game against the Kings. And so I know he was out for a few games. Nice to see him back. He's kind of in that groove. And definitely don't count out Golden State. I'm not the biggest Wiggins fan before this season, but he's played really well this season. And even though Draymond's not doing a ton with the points, his rebounds and assists have been astronomical. Like you can't. There's not anybody doing better than that.
He had, what did he have? Like 2 points, 12
Oh,
rebounds,
yeah, I saw that
like 16
line
assists or something like that. That's winning basketball, where he's going to have 12 to 16 assists, and you're going to win. And that's all that really matters. They move the ball very well. Yeah, Oubre had a little bit of a hand injury. He's back now, which is great because he struggled so much with his jump shot in the beginning of the year, and everybody was wanting him traded and all that stuff. So it's nice to see him do some well. I've always been a big Andrew Wiggins fan. I think he's super talented, and he just was in really bad situations. And now he's in a good situation that's going to get a whole lot better, because I'm telling you, a healthy lineup with Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Wiseman for the next 2 or 3 years, the Golden State Warriors are going to be a top 4 team in the West.
I agree. I think that if you're at this point and you're still like in playoff contention and you don't have Clay, you don't have your additional splash brother in your offense right there. And, if you're at this point right now, you're still a very important team. And you guys are only projected to go 14th whenever the season started. Like they thought you guys were going to finish 14th in the West. So, just being where you're at right now, huge accomplishment. If you guys make the playoffs, huge accomplishment. So good luck on your games this week. And we'll see you back next week. Let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you. And we'll see you next week.
Oh, absolutely. Hold on. Let me get the car door open back up. Yes, easiest way is on Twitter. All Eyes on You Hoops. All Eyes on the letter U Hoops. Flagrant Friends podcast. Every Tuesday night we record it and then put it out there on Podbean and all those other places where you get your podcasts. But there's a link right on my website, so that's the easiest way. Tweet at me. My contact information is on my website. You can email me. I don't care. But yeah, that's the easiest way. And then Monday nights here. And really lately, we've definitely been talking about the Nets and the Warriors. But yes, the Wizards are also right on there. They've been playing really, really well. And that 1-2 punch with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal obviously is still really, really fun to watch. And if they do, they're in position where they'd be in that play-in tournament. And so maybe I get a week where I can talk about all 3 of them. That'd be fun.
If they make the play-in tournament, we're definitely talking about them.
Oh, yeah.
Because what a story from the beginning of the season to now,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
definitely. Well, thank you, Steve, so much. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. You have a great week.
You too. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and finish up for the week. Just want to say thank you for tuning in. And the WNBA season starts in about 2 weeks. May 14th, the Wings play the Sparks for opening night at 9:30. So find your favorite WNBA team and watch them. Good night, guys. Thank you so much.